How dare you!
There we go. We are back. A nice little chilled out coffee stream ahead of today's Kev Baker show. Want to thank all 22 of you loyal KBSers out there for tuning in to what's going to be a really chilled out, quite fun, relaxed stream ahead of the main show over on TFR today. And I will be simulcasting tomorrow's show with one of our own, our good friend Mannerus. Yes, indeed. He's going to be on the show tomorrow. We're going to be talking all about Oak Island, and I really cannot wait for that one. And then on Wednesday, another good friend of ours, and I better give her the link or she'll crack up because she doesn't get any of our notifications. But Billy Joe is going to be coming onto the show on Wednesday. And we're going to be geeking out, talking about that show that is really, really blowing me away. The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. So Billy's going to join me for an hour. Maybe she'll stay for the whole show. I don't know. We'll get into some of that woo. Billy has got some good woo of her own as well. So this week, tonight, no guest tonight. I'll have the phones opened up. Tomorrow we've got Mannerus. Day after that, Billy. And on Thursday, I believe we are going to be joined by our good friend, the Spiritual Warrior. He's going to be back again on Thursday for his monthly KBS visit. Now, yesterday's show with Bill was really, really good. Really enjoyed that. And what we're going to be doing from now on is, and I'm just waiting to get access to Bill's YouTube channel, but we're going to do the stream on the big KBS main channel where we've got more subscribers there. We get more of an audience. And then immediately after we finish the stream, what I'm going to do for Bill is I'm going to help him get his YouTube channel going. And we're going to upload the shows over on Bill's channel, and then we will direct everyone over to there, and hopefully we'll get Bill's channel growing the same way as all of you have helped to grow this channel. I can't believe it. I really can't, but got a message this morning. Congratulations. You have gone over your 4,000 subscribers right here on KBS2. Now, there's obviously been a big rush of people in recent weeks after what happened on the main channel, and we started streaming here. To begin with, it wasn't very noticeable. People were subscribing in dribs and drabs, but just recently we've taken a big jump. So I want to thank all of you out there for starting to get this channel growing as well. And I really like it here. You know, we're definitely more algorithm friendly over here. And I like to keep it for the woo. I like to keep it for the real good stuff, as I call it. And today have I got some good stuff. And it ties in with a lot of what we've been talking about recently. We've been talking timelines. We've been talking the nature of reality. And I've started now working with Chris Anatra. Now, Chris, he is the CEO of his own software distribution company. And he became aware of changes in his customers' data and his own data some time ago. And that led him to research what we all now obviously know as the Mandela. Well, Mandela effect, not just the Mandela. But he was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about timelines, positive timelines. And Chris himself and I were talking about the holographic nature of reality. Now, there's nothing new to that conversation. And in fact, the first kind of time this concept was ever really thrown out in one form or another, you have to go back to the early 1900s. Now, we didn't have the language back then that we have today. We didn't have the computers and the very simulations that we're talking about back then. But they were postulating this idea. Now, I love to get into this kind of thing. It's really good to think about. How we ever get to a point where we can prove how reality works, I think, is beyond us. However, that should never stop us having the conversation and opening our minds and exercising that grey matter, right? Because we have to admit, and I think we all agree here, there's definitely something very, very weird going on when it comes to everything, you know? And we talk about CERN a lot on here. I was lucky enough to work alongside Anthony Patch for a number of years, and I learned so much. And he didn't give me my thirst for the quantum knowledge. It was something that I had already fallen in love with, even if I didn't understand fully. But then the best experts in the world will tell you that quantum physics, quantum mechanics, by definition, it is understandable. Spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it. And it's that quantum mechanics that we're going to be looking at today. Because there's a new theory out there. Yes, indeed. And it builds upon theories that we've talked about in the past. And it's the simulation theory with a difference. You know, we can look at the Matrix. We can see how the simulation is depicted in there with the architect and Neo and everything else in between. And in recent times, there's been a physicist or a philosopher. I don't actually know what you would call him. He's probably a philosopher-physicist by the name of Nick Bostrom. I think he's actually a computer scientist, but he's quite famous for talking about the simulation theory as well. So then today I came across an article, like I say, that puts forward an altogether new idea. And I think it's a really good article for us to kick back, chill out, open our minds, have a nice cup of coffee before I have to go and hurriedly get the dinner on for Anne coming in, and then shift gears and get into the Kev Baker show. Okay? So then, let's go and take a little look see at this. Yes, there you go. Look, 4.02 thousand subscribers. Thank you all so much. And that's thanks to all of you sharing the links and telling people that we are over here now. 25 in here today, and you 25 people are worth 25,000. Because I know that I've got friends in here. I dropped it in Discord. Didn't share it out that much on social media. These pre-show streams, they're really just more for killing time. If you're maybe a bit bored or you're looking for something to watch, you want a bit of a chill, come and speak to the people in the chat, and hopefully by the end of it we'll get a little laugh as well, then this is the place to come, okay? So we come over here to a website called, I think scroll up here, Big Think. If we come down, here is what we're talking about here. A new hypothesis argues that the universe simulates itself into existence. Very interesting concept. So it says here, how real are you? What if everything you are, everything you know, all of the people in your life, as well as all of the events, were not physically there, but just a very elaborate simulation? Well, philosopher, there you go, he's a philosopher, Nick Bostrom famously considered this in his seminal paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?, where he proposed that all of our existence may just be the product of a very sophisticated computer simulations ran by advanced beings whose real nature we may never be able to know. Now a new theory has come along that takes us a step further. What if there are no advanced beings either, and everything in reality is a self-simulation that generates itself from pure thought? Now, let me just pause there, right? Because we had Doc Miller on not long ago, and he was really hammering home the fact that he says that mankind, people, we need to take responsibilities for the thoughts that we have, because we really don't know how powerful a generator our own mind truly is. And that's why when I started reading this today, immediately after that first paragraph, I was captured. I really was. So let's go and take a look at what else it says in here, right? It says the physical universe is a strange loop, says the new paper titled The Self-Simulation Hypothesis, Interpretation of Quantum Mechanics. And it comes from the team at Quantum Gravity Research, a Los Angeles-based theoretical physics institute founded by the scientist and entrepreneur Clee Irwin. Now, they take Bostrom's simulation hypothesis, which maintains that all of reality is an extremely detailed computer program, and ask, rather than relying on advanced technology or advanced life forms to create the amazing technology necessary to compose everything within our world, isn't it more efficient to propose that the universe itself is a mental self-simulation? They tie the idea to quantum mechanics, seeing the universe as one of many possible quantum gravity models. Now, one important aspect that differentiates this view relates to the fact that Bostrom's original hypothesis is materialistic, seeing the universe as inherently physical. Now, to Bostrom, we could simply be part of an ancestor simulation, engineered by post-humans. Even the process of evolution itself could just be a mechanism by which the future beings are testing countless processes, purposefully moving humans through levels of biological and technological growth. Now, in this way, they also generate the supposed information or history of our world. Ultimately, we wouldn't know the difference. But where does the physical reality that would generate our simulations come from? Wonder the researchers. Now, I just need to send this link to our good friend Spooky Andy. He just messaged me there. I'm going to send him that. So we might see Spooky Andy popping, and now this will be up his street. Absolutely. So then, it says here, their hypothesis takes a non materialistic approach, saying that everything is information expressed as thought. As such, the universe self actualizes itself into existence, relying on underlying algorithms and a rule that they call, quote, the principle of efficient language. Now, under this proposal, the entire simulation of everything in existence is just one, quote, grand thought. How would the simulation itself be originated? It was always there, say the researchers, explaining that the concept of timeless emergentism. Now, according to this idea, time isn't there at all. Instead, the all encompassing thought that is our reality offers a nested semblance of a hierarchical order full of sub thoughts that reach all the way down the rabbit hole towards the base mathematics and fundamental principles. Spit it out, Kev, right? And this is also where the rule of efficient language comes in, suggesting that humans themselves are emergent sub thoughts, and they experience and find meaning in the world through other sub thoughts called code steps or actions in the most economic fashion. Now, in correspondence with Big Think, physicist David Chester elaborated, while many scientists presume materialism to be true, we believe that quantum mechanics may provide hints that our reality is a mental construct. Recent advances in quantum gravity, such as seeing space-time emergent via a hologram, also is a hint that space-time is not fundamental. This is also compatible with the ancient Hermetic and Indian philosophy. In a sense, the mental construct of reality creates space-time to efficiently understand itself by creating a network of subconscious entities that can interact and explore all of the possibilities. And the scientists think that their hypothesis to panpsychism, which sees everything as thought or consciousness, and the authors think that their panpsychic simulation model can even explain the origin of an overarching pan-consciousness at the foundation level of the simulation, which, quote, self-actualizes itself in a strange loop via self-simulation. Now, the pan-consciousness also has free will, and its various nested levels essentially have the ability to select what code to actualize while making syntax choices. The goal of this consciousness? To generate meaning or information. Now, if all of this is hard to grasp, the authors offer an interesting idea that may link your everyday experience to these philosophical considerations. So, you ready? Get a load of this. Think of your dreams as your own personal self simulations, postulates the team. While they are rather primitive by super intelligent future AI standards, dreams tend to provide better resolution than current computer modeling and are a great example of the evolution of the human mind, as the scientists write. What is most remarkable is that the ultra high fidelity resolution of these mind based simulations and the accuracy of the physics therein. Now, they point essentially to lucid dreams, where the dreamer is aware of being in a dream as instances of very accurate simulations created by your own mind that may be impossible to distinguish from any other reality. So, to that end, now that you're sitting here reading this article, how do you know, or how do you really know, you're not in a dream? And at this point, I've probably sent half of you to sleep already.
How dare you?
Wake up! Wake up at the back of the class, all right? It says here, the experience seems very high in resolution, but so do some dreams. It's not too much of a reach to imagine that an extremely powerful computer that we may be able to make in the not too distant future could duplicate this level of detail. The team also proposes that in the coming years we will be able to create designer consciousnesses for ourselves, as advancements in gene editing could allow us to make our own mind simulations much more powerful. We may also see the minds emerging that do not require matter at all. And while some of these ideas are certainly controversial in the mainstream science circles, Klee and his team respond that, quote, we must critically think about consciousness and certain aspects of philosophy that are uncomfortable subjects to some scientists. And if you want to know more, actual paper, I'm going to post it in the chat room. There you go. No, Adam, don't do that. Don't poke yourself like that to make sure you're not in a dream. Please, promise you're not. Maybe we are. How do you know? I remember hearing one, I think it was a Chinese proverb or a philosopher had written about how the student comes to him and the student says, you know, I had this marvelous, vivid, colourful, lucid dream where I was a butterfly and flying around and doing what butterflies do, only for me to wake up. And he was asking his teacher, his master, you know, how do you differentiate between the dream world and the real world? And to that, you know, basically, the master tells him, well, the master basically says, how can you tell that there is no difference between the dream world and the real world? And maybe you are the butterfly, and the act of coming and asking the master about what it's all about is actually the dream. Pretty weird, right? But we often talk about our abilities on maybe quantum levels that I don't have the language for, that we can connect our minds. And we were talking about quantum entanglement last night when Bill was on the show. And we have seen in the past when you get large numbers of people concentrating on the same thing or taking part in mass meditations, there's measurable effects, okay? So how much of that ties in with the universe itself in self-simulating thoughts, you know? And all of us just expressions, just code, so that we ourselves can live out all of the possibilities. And again, all for what? For this information gathering process? I don't know. Maybe we're not ever meant to know. It's like even if it is a physical simulation and there are big entities out there and they're all staring into their chronovisor and you know, we are in this simulation and everything's physical and everything's real. It certainly feels all real, right? It certainly feels all physical. But what if that too is just part of the illusion, part of the simulation, you know? What if we are just some bizarre thought amongst many other thoughts playing out? Not in space-time, because even that itself is created by the thoughts. It gives us the framework for this massive thought to take place. I don't know. It's pretty weird. It's pretty woo. And I think it ties in as well with what I was looking at the other day on Ancient Aliens, and I mentioned it briefly either with Scott or with Bill. And it's this whole kind of phenomenon where you get new inventions coming along, but more than one person comes up with the idea independently, individually, geographically separated from one another at roughly the same time. One of the actual examples it gave on Ancient Aliens was the fact that Graham Alexander Bell invented the telephone, right? Well, there's another cat as well. And he invented something very, very similar. You look at the whole kind of the diagrams, the pictures of them, the schematics, pretty much the same thing. Yet these two came up with it independently. And you hear about that 100th monkey thing. Remember, Chris was talking about the 100th monkey? You know, eventually it's just in the consciousness and we pick up on it. Well, if we go back to that simulation thing, right? And we are in a simulation, then perhaps these inventions are inserted, generated for a reason, to advance us in some way, to take us to the next level of thought or where we need to be. And that's why perhaps you find more than one person coming up with what they think is their unique idea. It's coming from the information that may be all around us and may from time to time be inserted. Or maybe it's got some time lock on it. And this is really kind of weird because I'm going to take this further tonight on the Kev Baker show. And I'm going to get into something where I'm going to be talking about whether inventions are inevitable. Because of this very reason I'm talking about here. Are they in some quantum field, stashed there, stored there, accessed at certain times? Is that what progresses us through what we would call advancements, you know, as we move up in levels of consciousness and awareness and intelligence as well? Don't know, it's all pretty woo though, right? What happened to Kev having his coffee and chilling out? You're all saying, I know. But it gets you thinking, and I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it's wrong. It doesn't take away God again for anyone out there. It certainly doesn't. You know, something has to be behind all of this. Something had to initiate it, whatever it is. You know, so keep everyone happy, like I always try to do. I'm going to take a little drink of my coffee. I'm going to shove on the tunes. I'm going to scratch my foot with my herbal remedy, and I'll be back in a couple of moments. And I've got a quick funny one for us to look at before I shift gears, go and get my apron on, get the dinner sorted, and turn into Mr. Doubtfire. Yes, Mr. Doubtfire, because I ain't very woke. There we go, Robin in the chat room. Reincarnation keeps one in the game simulation. I've always thought about that. And you can compare it to our games where you just respawn, right? You just start again. All good, all healthy. Away you go again. And to that character, if you were that character, you know, how much awareness would you have that you'd already played the game before? That's the whole kind of trick, I think. I think that's what we really need to get to. Not working out how the game works, but just remembering how to play it. Oh no, Queen, no, you don't have any of those pesky hornets, do you? Ah, I seen a wasp in the bathroom earlier on. I must admit, I was doing a Scot. I was giving it kind of that look of very much intrepidation, and I wasn't too sure what I'm dealing with. But I think those bad hornets are over in the US, and they aren't over here in the UK. Touch wood, not yet anyway. So yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting kind of article. I know we talk a lot on the show about the simulation theory. Always good to get a new take. Doesn't mean it's going to be right. I don't even know what half of it truly means. But we're going to dig deeper on these kind of topics in the weeks and months to come. I most certainly feel that in my belly, and all my spidey senses are telling me it's definitely one rabbit hole that is going to continue to provide lots of nuggets and lots of dots along the way. The question is, do the dots connect? Are they even dots in the first place? That's half the fun that you get here on the Kev Baker Show. So when we go to the main show tonight, it will be over on tfrlive.com and on the TFR Live YouTube channel. Tomorrow, we've got Mannerus coming on. I see him in the chat room there. My Canadian brother. Hey, you never know. There could actually be a blood connection because there's that much Scottish blood and names that run through Nova Scotia, New Scotland, go figure, that you just never know how this weird universe stroke simulation works, right? And we're going to be getting into all things Oak Island tomorrow. Scott Lopez, I think, is going to be joining us. So tomorrow we will be simulcasting. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have Billy Joe joining me. She's another fan of the TV show, The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. She'll be joining me for that. And then on Thursday, we've got Bill Bean for an hour to wrap up the week on KBS. And tonight, what I'm going to get into is I'm going to cover some of the news that's out there. You know, that thing going on in the world right now. Getting so much closer to that "we told you so" moment. I'll be going over some of that tonight. I also put out a new article today. Hang on. If I just come over. In fact, I won't show you here. No, we'll cover that on the Kev Baker Show tonight. And it's about some new technology that us Brits over here are going to be asked to adopt sometime real soon. We also, tonight on the show, on the back of this article, the whole "is the universe a simulation?" I may go over the highlights of that paper again. There's a far briefer explanation of it that we can go over. And I'm going to build on that during the show because I'm going to be getting into this thing that whether or not inventions are inevitable. And I remember Lucky coming on the show, and then there was another guest as well that came on to talk about Hollywood type stuff. And they were talking, both of them, at different times about how, and I may be wrong, but I think it was Prince and Michael Jackson. Now, what those two would do is, whenever they came up with a new song, a new track, a new tune, stuff like that, it's rumoured, it's said, I don't know, I wasn't there, but it's said, and even if it isn't true, it kind of is a good example of what I'm talking about. But it said that whichever one would come up with the track would hurriedly, no matter what time of day, what time of night, they would get their people to do what they need to do, copyright it, patent it. I don't know what you do, right? Register it so it's theirs, okay? And the reason they would be wanting to get that done so quickly is because they knew that if they were picking up on this and it was coming to them at this time, you can bet your bottom dollar that the other one would be having a similar creative kind of experience. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't tell you, or I can't honestly tell you. But that's what we're going to be talking about. And there's a paper about this, and it's not new. And it's something that was wrote years and years and years and decades and almost 100 years ago. And it talks about this very phenomenon where you get people separated by oceans, never met each other, totally independent from one another, yet they come up with the exact same unique invention or experiment or equation at the same time. It's a bit weird, right? And then there was, I believe it was an Indian man. I don't have the name right at my fingertips right now. but he was one of the world's leading mathematicians, only he hadn't been trained in math. And he got all of this equations and angles and all the rest of it and came up with new theories and things the mathematical world had pondered for years. And it all came to him through dreams. Through dreams. Yeah, again, that kind of ties in with this whole, nature of reality, the layers within it. I do think there's something out there that does contain the whole, the past, the present, the future. And we do tap into it at times, and more people are becoming aware of that. Now, me personally, I only see more synchronicities along the way, but in some ways, I think that's me starting to get to see how the game works as well. And I know you're all starting to see through the game too. So I'm really going to get into this tonight some more. I've also reached out today to Nick Redfern. Yes. Now, I'm often talking about Nick and his work because he's over at Mysterious Universe. He's on Ancient Aliens all the time. He does the megalithic shows. He's on history documentaries here, there, everywhere. And he's got more books than I could shake a stick at. And he's got a new book out, and it's all about Rendlesham Forest. Now, you'll know that myself and Ben Emlyn Jones, I've had on Gary Heseltine from UFO Truth magazine in the UK as well. And I've even had on Larry Warren, one of the witnesses to what happened in a field in January 1980 down outside RAF Bentwaters, right? One of the most infamous UFO events that's ever happened in the UK. Only was it really a UFO that came down over the course of 3 days and had this interaction that has us still 40 years on speaking about it to this day? So Nick's been talking about that. He's got a new book out. I've reached out to him. Hopefully he'll come on the show in the near future. But I'll be covering his angle on Rendlesham tonight on the show. So a bit of UFO woo. And before I leave you today, I'm going to show you something funny I found. It's nothing important. It's nothing big. I just gave it a big hearty laugh when I seen it. And with us all unable to get out to our favourite stores, some of them aren't open, etc. A lot of people have been increasing their online shopping, right? Buying this, that, the other. Can't get it in the stores because of the obvious going on right now. And then some woman, she decided it was time to invest in, see these cool, trendy AirPods, the kind of Apple ones for your iPhone. You know the little ones. You see a lot of the people wearing them now. They're just Bluetooth, wireless kind of headphones. You know them? Yeah. Well, not quite what this woman got when she ordered that exact same thing. And we come to the metro here, and a woman who ordered fake iPods on Amazon, and they were bigger than her head. And I ain't even joking. Check the size of these bad boys out. Look at that. So it says here, this is a text. So today I received my AirPods from Amazon. God, these are huge. If we scroll down, there are the bad boys there. Now, why these would ever be made in this size to begin with is absolutely beyond me. I tried to figure out if maybe she's one of the smallest people in the world and maybe it makes these normal sized iPods look big. Then I started to think, well, maybe the Nephilim, maybe that'll do for a Nephil ear. You use your Nephil thumb on your Nephil iPhone. I don't know, but it says AirPods are considered one of the biggest status symbols there is. What? Oh, hang on a minute.
How dare you?
Are people honestly judging others? You know, oh, look at him over there. He's got those AirPods and he must be doing pretty well for himself. When I grow up and when I get a good job, I want to have a set of AirPods. That's when you've made your mark as a human on the planet. We strive every day now, folks, to get that must-have trinket. So people know our status in society, right? He knows his stuff. He's got his earpods in. What kind of crazy timeline is this? Or maybe she ordered them. She ordered them on one timeline, but then they came from another timeline where people are just way bigger. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I wish I did. But it says the woman called Alize from Dubai says she purchased a pair of dupe Apple AirPods for £50 from online retailer Amazon in March. Well, let that teach you a very valuable lesson. You don't get anything from Apple original for £50. You should have known something was going to be up. But although she knew they weren't genuine, given that they cost in the hundreds, she thought she'd get a passable simulation. Oh, another simulation. However, she was left in hysterics after receiving a pair of AirPods bigger than her head. Yes, indeedy. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just waiting for Anne to message to say my dinner better be on because she's finished work right now. I'm going to be back later. I won't have these giant iPads in or iPads. I don't think you wear iPads in your ears. AirPods. Big AirPods, right? But yeah, I'll be back on the main show. Now, I reached out to Jimmy today to see if he was around to hang out with me. I don't want anyone out there thinking that I've cast Jimmy astray or anything like that. He must be busy. So maybe Jimmy, if I get a hold of him, he might hang out with me on the main show today. But the phones will be open, and I really want to get your good woo. We can get into anything you want, obviously. But with us going to be touching on Rendlesham, with us going to be touching on the kind of Akashic records. Is all information past, present, future? Is it all there in ones and zeros, or whatever consciousness, whatever quantity that consciousness and information comes on at that scale? I don't know, but it's going to be weird. It's going to be woo. And I know you're going to enjoy it. And like I always say, don't tell you what to think, because half the time, I don't know the questions, let alone the answers. But what we hope to do on KBS is I provide and I let you decide. And at the end of it, we all come back together, we have a PPP, and we live happily ever after. So on that note, folks, I will see you in 90 minutes on TFRlive.com and TFR Live YouTube channel. I'll be there today. Manarathon tomorrow, and he'll be coming on to talk about Oak Island, all the way from Nova Scotia, where Oak Island just happens to be. Can't wait to get into that. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good week. I can feel it already. Do you feel it? And again, I want to thank all of you for helping to get us over 4,000 subscribers here on the backup channel. Although, is it really the backup channel? It's more an equal footing now because, this is where we come to chill out, to have our KBS coffee, and where we can get our KBS freak on. So until later, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.